A day or two has passed since the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 announcement, and reactions have been almost universally positive, outside of a few weirdos, which I'll get to in a second. But I've got to say, I think the game, it's really going to benefit from doing what I'll call the Fallout 4 strategy, where they announce it really late in its development, and then it's in our hands only a few months later. It works for a number of reasons. The fact that we're not sort of overhyping something for years and then it finally comes out and then it can just never live up to expectations, that's always a bad thing. I mean, you think of Cyberpunk, when was that announced? Like a decade before it actually released. And expectations were enormous. Even if it had have had a much better launch, it released in the state that it's in right now, which I think is pretty damn good. It's quite polished, the story, the expansion, it's all really good. Even if they had have released pretty much that on launch, I still don't think it would have met expectations. There were people who thought it was going to be the next Grand Theft Auto or something. It was all a bit weird. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, most people are loving it, but there are, of course, these insane people who will never let go the fact that it is a historically accurate game set in Europe in the 15th century. Now, what that means is there are gender roles. Men are men, women are women, and you've got those traditional roles where the men are usually the soldiers. Not like we've seen in, say, Battlefield 1, where EA managed to retcon history, where supposedly, all the soldiers are women. I didn't realize that. So there's none of that nonsense in Kingdom Come. And with the first one back in 2018, people were melting down back then about, oh my goodness, why in this European country in the 15th century, why is it not full of people with color, multiculturalism? What is going on? And they accused the devs of all being racist for not bending the knee and changing things to suit them. They said, no, we are making a game with integrity and is historically accurate. So they stuck to their guns there, and it sounds like they're going to do that again, which is a fantastic thing. I want this game to succeed. I'm not going to blindly hype it up and say pre-order based on only a trailer or two. I mean, they do need to deliver, but I'd love it to succeed because I know that even outside of the historical accuracy, they're focused on entertainment. Making a fantastic game. They're not buying into the Sweet Baby Inc. DEI nonsense. The studio founder, Daniel Vovra, he's always made it clear that he's against that kind of crap. He's going to be focused on making a great game, and I hope that they deliver with this. But again, these absolute insane individuals, they continue to melt down exactly like they did with Hogwarts Legacy, Stellar Blade, all of these sorts of games. And what I will say is some people, even here on Reset Era, which is the Asylum, the Purple Forum, this is a message board that banned not only discussion at all about Hogwarts Legacy, but they even did it for Cyberpunk. You can't mention or talk about Cyberpunk on this forum as far as I'm aware, which is insane to me because Cyberpunk literally has a trans character in the game, and they claim that the reason you can't discuss it is because the studio's transphobic. There's a trans person in there, and as far as I'm aware, they're respectful to them, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. But you can't talk about it. One of the most successful games out there. 20 million plus sale, you can't speak about it on a gaming forum. So that tells you the mindset of these people and those who run the website. I will say that the people who own this website are total hypocrites. They'll say things like capitalism is evil, business is very bad, and yet the owners, they sold the website and made an absolute killing. It continues to make mammoth amount of money through advertising. So they're happy to get their bag, but they'll still tell you you're evil if you try and make some money. That's the sort of hypocrisy that we see. And here is some of what we're dealing with. Given all the recent attempts to create Gamergate 2.0, boycotting this Gamergate and no non-white people in Europe proponent is more important than ever. So they see this as a war. Don't buy Kingdom Come, because if we do, it's going to destroy all our progress. Our attempts to use gaming as a vehicle to push Western identity politics, it's all going to be at risk because of a game like Kingdom Come that is focused on being a fantastic piece of entertainment first and foremost, that doesn't give a shit about this sort of nonsense. And we can see as well, the good news with Daniel Vovra, because he's the studio founder, the chances of this studio, again, bending the knee, bowing down to these morons, it's just about non-existent. And even though Warhorse, the studio, they are owned by the Embracer Group now, I haven't seen a lot of evidence that those teams that they own are being forced to inject this sort of crap. There are titles like Saints Row, the new one, which was absolutely a DEI-infested game, and it was an Embracer Group game. However, it seems like that studio wanted to do that stuff. Embracer Group didn't tell them to do it. They thought, no, we know best. We're going to make Saints Row the best it can be. Of course, it was a huge flop. DEI failing as always. And we could see here Daniel Vovra and people saying, oh, I'm going to pass on this if this shitbag is involved. Well, he's the reason the game exists, that we get Kingdom Come games in the first place. So no real loss that you're not interested. We can see here as well, fuck this Gamergate trash. It's funny because some people can't help themselves. They're saying normal things like, hey, the game looks fantastic, looking forward to it. And people are starting to get mad on here. Oh, stop saying the game looks good. Stop having fun. You need to be angry like me. We can see here, not supporting a Gamergate, a piece of shit. It's Wizard Game all over again. Forgot to mention that things were so bad on here that back when Hogwarts Legacy was coming out, the website went so far that not only could you not discuss the game, but even saying the words Hogwarts Legacy would get you banned. Very trigger happy with the bans on here. So people have had to resort to calling it Wizard Game to avoid being thrown in jail, essentially. Hoping there's way less sexism this time around. Again, if you make something historically accurate and you just portray the gender roles as they were at the time, apparently that just makes you sexist. So you just want to sort of portray history as it was at the time. No, you're a sexist. Because if you don't inject how things are in 2024, according to these idiots, if you don't put that in something that is meant to be said in the 15th century, you're inherently racist, you're a phobe, you're sexist, because pushing this worldview is more important than the integrity of whatever era you're trying to portray in this game. It seems to happen in all media these days. You've got Queen Cleopatra, played by a black woman in, I believe, the latest adaptation. And then you look at it, you look at a history book and you go, hang on, this doesn't quite add up. You question that and you get told, no, you're a racist. 2 + 2 = 5. Accept it or you will be shunned. I saw something else where the English royal family was being played by people of color as well. So they don't care at all about presenting something that is just a replica of the time. It's like Assassin's Creed, where they have this message at the start of the game, something like, this game was made by a diverse group of people, and we make sure that even though we're making a game set in ancient Rome or something where there was 0 female soldiers, we've crammed them in because, 2024 diversity is way more important than realism. Am I right, guys? If you disagree, you're very bad. So we see it all the time, sadly, and that's why people throw around all the sexism allegations. And we've got someone here who says, I'm very much looking forward to racists and gators and capital G gamers now boycotting and shit-talking this game as well because somehow it got hit with the woke mind virus or something. Well, there's no evidence of that happening. If this studio actually bent the knee, that would be a problem. But that hasn't happened, so wishful thinking from these idiots. It would be so funny if after all this shit, the studio decides, no, we do have people of color now to appease media, and this will just instantly turn the anti-woke, loud, racist, and horrible parts of their fan base against Warhorse. So this is a fantasy in this person's mind where somehow Daniel Vovra and Warhorse, they immediately dump all their principles and how they feel, and they suddenly just throw trans people, for instance, into 15th century and pronouns, and this person gets excited because he thinks it's going to make us all mad. Well, you can sit there in your deluded world. It's very unlikely to happen, given history, the studio's history, not just history in terms of the era this game is set. They've already made a game before, and they didn't give a shit what you thought. You attacked Daniel Vovra, the studio founder. You kept claiming that his history was wrong. That was the worst thing. They couldn't even be honest and just say, look, we know you're being historically accurate, we don't agree, we think that what we want to do, our Western politics, is more important. And he said, no, I'm going to continue to be historically accurate. They didn't actually say that. These morons would say he was wrong about history, and then when you said, well, how was he wrong? There were no people of colour in these cities where the game is set back then. And they'd say, no, because a black person could have swam across the ocean, a person of colour could have swam across, and things would have continued from there. So you're a racist for not thinking that that would be possible. It was these real reaches like that, nothing actually grounded in reality with any actual evidence. Now this one's interesting and it is worth discussing. People will hate the game because of Vovra, and rightfully so. But as stated in the following article, the second game seems to be much better regarding representation of different ethnicities. And it links to an IGN article. This has been doing the rounds over the last day or two. And it's headlined, "New setting will feature a wide range of ethnicities and different characters." Now, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle have taken that to mean the game's going woke, essentially. Now, I understand that if you've been burned so many times with Sweet Baby Inc. nonsense that you would think the worst with this. And you'd read this and go, oh, Jesus Christ, here we go again, fuck this, and then you give up on the game. I will say this is a clickbait headline from IGN. They know they're going to get clicks from both sides on something like this, but the simple fact that there's nothing to suggest this is actually true. They were asked a question, I believe, by IGN, basically saying, oh, is the game going to have people of colour? Is it going to be diverse this time? And the way they answered, it was kind of just a factual answer, where they said, well, where the game is set, there are technically going to be people of different ethnicities, but that means people from the Czech Republic, it means, say, Hungarians. They're not saying, oh, all of a sudden there's going to be someone from Africa thrown in the game. The king is going to be Chinese and the captain of the guard is going to be a trans person. That isn't what they meant at all. It literally was just sticking to historical facts. And they said they've hired genuine historical experts. And they're probably European experts. It's not like they hired some weird purple hair from America, claims to be an expert, but they're really a political activist. I trust the studio with this. They answered factually, and then IGN twisted things to make it seem like something else was happening, like they're going woke. There's no evidence of that. I understand, again, if you're worried and you read this headline and you got really concerned, it's not true. But unfortunately, these morons on the Purple Forum, some of them have bought into this as well, and they sort of, oh yes, the game's going to be diverse. Look at what IGN have said. It's not true. It is going to be historically accurate. If that offends you, unfortunately, you're going to stay offended. Nothing is changing as far as we know from the first game in terms of that integrity. Now, this one is just retarded. Someone said, is the whole team piece of turds or is it only the co-founder? And then someone replies, honestly, I think it doesn't speak well for you. If you're able to work for or with someone who is so outwardly a horrible person. Now, Warhorse Studios has 250 plus employees. And according to this idiot, if you work with even one person who they consider to be bad, it reflects poorly on you as an individual. You're an evil, bad person if you work with anyone who doesn't share the same political views as them. You've all got to be on the same page. I find it funny because these are the types of people who claim to be the most empathetic in society. And they'll always be the ones going, oh, this person's oppressed. Oh my goodness, think of the homeless, think of the poor. And yet they're trying to judge you if you have a job where you work for someone who has the wrong politics. Not even work for, just work with someone who has the wrong politics. Must be nice to be them, where you can literally choose your job based on these metrics and there's nothing else that you have to consider, your livelihood, everything like that. Good luck to you. I'm sure that you're not leeching off your parents or something. And we'll end here with this. There's a lot of these people. I'd just like to add, just like J.K. Rowling, Vovra's views are directly reflected in the work itself, as Kingdom Come Deliverance is pretty sexist in its depiction of women, and of course still has a fundamental issue of a lack of people of colour in the game, although there are some, due to historical accuracy. He puts historical accuracy in quotes, like if you make something historically accurate, it's an excuse or something like that. Oh, no, you're just doing that because you are a racist. It's not like you actually care about history, the integrity of that, and you want to make a piece of entertainment that reflects it. No, it's all racism. This is how these people think. They don't seem to care about entertainment, different eras, finding fun, finding joy in that, experiencing it, getting into a simulator that allows you to enjoy that time of history. That's something I find a lot of fun. I'm glad it offends these morons. The good news is many of them won't be able to help themselves. It's kind of like Hogwarts Legacy. I guarantee you so many of these people who boycotted it, they secretly bought it, had a heap of fun, and then they went on the internet and just lied and went, oh, I hate this game. And then they're playing it, they're having a fantastic time, because these people, they have no real morals or real ideals. They just like to whinge, they like to get their likes, their upvotes on Reddit or whatever. But deep down, they play these games because they know people like Daniel Vovra, Warhorse, they make the good shit. Sweet Baby Inc., they're incompetent hacks, the studios that support them. They make shite that no one really wants to play, especially these people. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.